Important. Bernard Goldberg is a television news reporter, the author of Bias, a New York Times #1 bestseller about how the media distort the news. He's widely seen as one of the most original writers and thinkers in broadcast journalism. And what, in the event you don't know who he is, I suspect you probably do, but he was with CBS for around 20 years, something like that, and then quit and wrote this book, which was a significant professional gamble, in my view. But he's done okay. He won 6 Emmys at CBS, won 6 more at HBO, where he reports on a real sports program. Won the Alfred I. DuPont Columbia University Award. It's the equivalent of the Pulitzer, for how these kids were sold into slavery, forced to ride these camels in these races over there. Somewhere where they have the Arab or the Emeralds and the Ruby just as ripping off of him, yeah, and the ring on every finger of the hand.
Right.
And other stuff. Please welcome to the program. You see him on O'Reilly once a week. Bernard Goldberg. Good morning, Mr. Goldberg.
Hey, Don.
How are you?
Good.
I should also point out that Bernard is very thin-skinned. If you ever make fun of him, he gets hysterical. So
that's not true.
Well, yeah, of course it is.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know.
That is not true. No, you see, that was part of the joke, right?
Yes. Oh, it was. I didn't get it, did I? So what do you think here, Brian Williams?
Well, look, I was talking to Bill O'Reilly about this. So let's look at it this way. Let's say you had me on your show a couple of weeks ago before this Brian Williams thing ever happened. And you said, hey, Bern, what did you do before you worked at CBS News? I said, well, Don, I'm surprised you don't know. I played center field for the New York Yankees. I hit 536 home runs before I hung them up. My lifetime batting average was a few points under 300, and I played in 12 World Series, which coincidentally are Mickey Mantle's numbers.
Yeah.
Now, I would either be one of two things. I'd either be delusional, which is a mental illness, or I'd be lying to you. Yeah. Now, I thought until a few minutes ago that Brian Williams certainly wasn't mentally ill, so he was lying about all of this. But I just listened to my man Bernie McGurk's briefing a few minutes ago, where he's talking about where Brian Williams is telling Tom Brokaw that he saw a body floating down, Canal Street or something in New Orleans, and apparently that didn't happen. The boy really may be delusional. I mean, there may be a mental illness component in all of this, but I'm not a psychiatrist, obviously, so let's move on to the other possibility, which I still think is a probability. He lied. But it isn't like a regular lie. He didn't lie the way regular people lie. This is a special kind of lie. This is the celebrity liar. These celebrities go on Letterman and Fallon and Kimmel all the time and lie. They tell these stories that are, to some people really interesting, and they never happened. They just made them up. At best, they exaggerated. At worst, they just flat out lied. Because the producers of the shows know that the truth isn't always all that entertaining. It isn't always that interesting. So because they're entertainers, they figure they have to entertain, and they make stuff up. And Brian Williams goes on these shows, and I think he is a celebrity of sorts. So I think it wouldn't shock me if he just decided to be more entertaining. The problem, obviously, is if you're a celebrity ditz, you can do that because who cares what the hell you say about some crazy story. But when you're a newsman, if people aren't going to believe you when you say you got hit by a rocket-propelled grenade in your helicopter, they're not going to believe you about anything. And that's the problem.
What do you think? What do you make of? Do you like Tom Brokaw?
We've had our differences, but I got something wrong about him once, and I apologize profusely to him. And I don't have a problem with him.
Yeah, I don't either. I've had. I mean, he can be a little arrogant, well, whatever, but he's not a liar, and
right.
He's not. And I didn't think he was as egregiously biased as, say, rather some of these other people were when he reported the news.
Right.
But if it's true, he's calling for his fire, and he's out of there. He's gone.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm only hearing that from what you're telling me about. Was it the New York Post?
Well, yeah, but I mean, don't worry about what it was
okay,
from.
But let's say that if that's true, then I was I was egregiously wrong about something I said last night to O'Reilly. I said, like everything else in our culture, this is going to go away in the blink of an eye. I mean, the Russians or their surrogate thugs shot down a civilian airliner. I mean, do you know how how frightening that is? You're in an airplane and a rocket hits it and you're floating out of the sky and you're dead. And that story went away in the blink of an eye. And I said this would too, but what I didn't figure on, what I did not put into my calculation, was that this would be on page 1 of the New York Times. And that's where they all get their marching orders.
Yes.
I mean, they haven't had an original idea, since as Dan would say, his rather would say, Moses was in short pants. They don't have any original ideas. They get all their marching orders from the New York Times. And I also, Don, did not calculate that Tom Brokaw would jump on, would say what a lot of conservatives are saying.
Yeah.
So I didn't calculate those things. And if that's true, I was wrong about thinking this would go away in no time flat. Talking
with Bernard Goldberg here on the Imus program at 17 till the hour. I was talking with a journalist friend of mine last night, first class, and he said, and he doesn't dislike Williams, and neither do I, frankly, but that he has always been too cute by half and perhaps even more. And I did notice that in discussing about and in trying to misremember what he'd said and sort of apologizing for saying he was that he was hitting his helicopter, he employed the verbiage that a soldier would employ in describing the helicopter as a bird and getting into the minutia of the nomenclature of the helicopter, as though I read it as a tortured effort to try to suggest to all of us of how familiar he was with all of this, and it sounded just once again phony.
Well, he also said we were delivering heavy metal or iron for some bridges they were going to build.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the side of the United States in war. I'm an objective journalist. I don't take the side of, I don't take the side of anybody. But in a matter of war, I'm on the United States side, But I don't think I would have said we were delivering supplies so they could build a bridge. The military was delivering it. And I think that's part of the problem here. He wants to be part of the military. He wants to be liked. And I think that's a big part of this whole thing. When you want to be liked and you want to be entertaining, you start to say things that you shouldn't say. And I think that's what happened here. Look, when people make mistakes, I am not for firing people for making an honest mistake. And I also believe you can, in fact, conflate things in your head when they happened 10, 20, or 30 years ago. We've all done that. You think you told the boss to go kiss your rear end,
yeah.
But what you really said was, "Hey, boss, sorry." If there was a tape of it, you'd see that you never said what you thought you said.
Yeah.
But if you think you got hit by a rocket-propelled grenade that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That does not happen. So the boy is either lying to be popular and to be entertaining, which is unacceptable, or, and I'm telling you, I didn't think this until this morning listening to McGurk, or the boy really is delusional, where he really thinks he sees bodies floating by, and he really thinks he got hit by a rocket-propelled grenade, and that could be serious stuff if the guy's crazy.
What did O'Reilly say?
O'Reilly was, Bill's a good guy, and he said, I think we basically had enough of taking, going after Brian Williams. This is the last thing about it. I'm not doing this tomorrow night. Greg Gutfeld wanted, and McGurk actually wanted to talk about it tonight on O'Reilly, and he said, no, I don't want to do it anymore. He suffered enough for what he did. I would have added he suffered enough for what he brought on himself, but again, I want to emphasize how wrong I may have in fact been when I said,
No.
like everything else in this culture, this thing is going to go away before you can say boo, and it just may not.
First of all, O'Reilly is a pansy. I will never speak to him again, and I want you to resign from appearing on his program.
What happened here?
Nothing. I'm just kidding around. So.